Welcome to week 2 of my Nielsen-Nelson Kith and Kin archiving project. Last time I was at the work table and I created some high-resolution digital scans of each page of my cousin's manuscript. This week I'm going to extract the text from each image. There are many ways to do this, but I'll be using Claude Code to write some scripts in Python in my PyCharm development environment. So let's get to it. All right, this is PyCharm. I've opened up a terminal, and I'm just going to type Claude to get going with Claude Code. And I know that the first thing I want to do with these images is to make them a little bit smaller for OCR extraction. OCR is good at about 300 dots per inch. The images that I have right now are 1200 DPI, and I did scan them on purpose that high so that I could get good quality images from the pages that had pictures on them. At least the best quality I could get, even though I was working from essentially what amounts to a photocopy. So I remember saying, yeah, I'm going to scan them high. I can change them later when I go to do things with them. And that's what I'm going to do first, is to resize each of the scans. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to say, write a Python script with logging and object-oriented. It uses a main function. Can't spell today. And variables instead of command line arguments. The script should, let's see what I want it to do. I want it to go through each image in scans and resize a copy to scans resized. It takes the image from 1200 DPI to 300 DPI. Preserve the file name. If I stop the script and restart, it should pick up from where it left off. Okay, that should be enough. Left off, misspelled off. That should be enough for Claude to figure out what I'm trying to do here. It created the resize scan script, which checks if each output file already exists. I configure the source directory, the output, source DPI, target DPI as needed. Right now, it will scale down 4 times and then preserves the metadata. Nice. So let's take a look here. Just reload from disk. There is the file. And let's give it a run. Oh, there's a warning. I should have remembered that. These are very large TIFF files. And Pillow or Pill has a built-in mechanism to make sure that it's not blowing out and doing images that are too big. So there is a bomb warning there, decompression bomb warning. And I'll just give the error to Claude Code. And I'm pretty certain that it will find the right flag to change in Pillow. There it is, max image pixels. All right, given that, give this another run. And there we go. Well, I figured while this is running, I'm just going to do some sorting on my work desk behind me and come back when this is done. Okay, I got some cleanup done on the desk behind me, and it finished all the processing. So reported out that 440 were processed, 6 were skipped. Not sure why that was, but none failed. And I'll try to take a look in resize scans. Oh, already exists. Maybe I had run. Yeah, I could have done that. I probably ran it, got 6 done, and then went to run it again. That could have happened. All right, so we're good. We have a whole bunch of scans that have been resized. All right, with all the scans resized, now it's time to extract the text. So back into Claude Code. Now I want to write a new script that extracts the text from the images in scans resized. Place the text into individual text files of the same name in the extracted folder. Keep the logging. Keep the restart mechanism. Let's see. I have some ideas about the library. I've done some of this work before. So I want to say use the Tesseract library to do the OCR. That is a library that I prefer, and it does a pretty good job not only extracting the text, but doing new lines and things like that. So I think that's enough. Let's take a look at what this does. Okay, we've got a extract text script, and it is using Tesseract, which I'm pretty certain is already installed in this environment. I think we're good to go with this script, so let's give it a run. And boom, off it goes. Let me just check a couple of these before we go much further. Reload those from disk. Take a look. I think I had a blank page there. That's the intro, looking good. All right, I'm at 16. I've got a few more hundred to go. I'm gonna go back to cleaning my desk, let this run, and I'll come back and see you in a minute. All right, well, here is a little bit of interesting information about the passage. So let's see, this is Gail writing, and she has introduced a section called John Stewart's Journal from Greenock, which is the port near Glasgow, to Upper Canada. This extract is included because it gives an account of a voyage from Scotland to Canada that took place approximately a year and a half after the Nielsen sailed. Also, the two families were neighbors, and Andrew married a Stewart daughter. So this John Stewart isn't a direct, well, I guess could be a direct ancestor. I don't know if it's my direct ancestor, but one of John's daughters marries into the Nielsen family through Andrew. I just don't know if I'm through Andrew as I'm looking at this. I got to figure that out. Regardless, this is a contemporary story about the sailing from the east coast of Scotland, Greenock, over to Upper Canada. June 12th, 1820, sailed from Greenock on board the Duchess of Richmond. On 14th, anchored at Crinan to take on passengers. June 21st, sailed from Crinan. On 22nd, anchored at Oban to take on passengers. These are all ports along the west coast of Scotland. Greenock, I think they're sailing north. No, I've maybe got that wrong. Need to check that on a map. I've been to Glasgow and I've been to Oban, and I just can't remember which is above which. Let me find out. Okay. From Greenock, north to Crinan, and then north again to Oban. On 29th, we sailed from Oban. On the 3rd of August, we saw land off Cape Breton. So this is June 29th. They're on the ocean for the entire month of July. On the 3rd of August, we saw land off of Cape Breton. On the 10th of August at 2 o'clock in the morning, we were almost stranded at Anticosti. At 4, one of the sailors fell overboard and was drowned. On the 10th, Monday, we arrived at Quebec, arrived at Montreal on Sunday, August 22nd. I left Montreal on Saturday the 27th, arrived at Prescott September 1st. I left Prescott on the 3rd on board a steamboat to Kingston. On the 4th from Kingston on board of ditto or same, and arrived at the head of the Bay of Quinte on the 4th, west to Smith's Creek, and on the 6th went to Cavan, bought John Nichols' lot of land. Then he returns to Montreal. He left Montreal on the 22nd, got his children, myself, and luggage aboard a drum boat at Lachine and arrived in Kingston on the 7th. Sailed on the 10th from Kingston on a schooner. On the 11th, a most terrible storm arose, so they were obliged to lash the helm and tie to for 25 hours in the middle of Lake Ontario, expecting every moment we would go to the bottom. May this day never be forgotten by me. There were about 40 passengers on board. It pleased the Lord to have mercy on us and change the wind, so that we came back to Kingston after being driven within 20 miles of York, and lost our boat with one of the hatches and a valuable chest belonging to a passenger, all swept from the deck. Well, eventually he makes his way. There's more to the story. Basically on the 15th, got into our own health. So several month journey over the ocean, then up the St. Lawrence River into Quebec, and then up I think that would be the Ottawa River. No, yeah, continuing the St. Lawrence into Lake Ontario, and then eventually over to the settlement. Wow, that's quite a story. So again, not exactly my ancestor. John Stewart wasn't one of mine, as far as I know from this story. But very cool that we have that record. It's included here, and it could have been just as treacherous a journey for John and Janet Nielsen as well. This thing's almost done. I'll let it finish up. All right, process complete. Processed 446. Skipped none failed. And here's what we've got in this folder. If I just reload all that from disk, we've got 446 text files. Now, some of the extractions might be a little bit, well, some are empty because they may have been blank pages. Some of them may have a lot of gobbledygook, and that might be a holdover from trying to read an image, like a newspaper article, maybe trying to read, I don't know what, oh, it could have been a photocopy inside with handwritten information, like a parish register. Some of that is pretty hard to do in PyTesteract even. You need some better models to do that. And then a lot of them too, and I'm not sure where we could find one. These might be some of the images that are family group records. So they're written and, sorry, they're not written. They're tabular data, and that might be challenging for it to read and understand a table of information or even a pedigree tree. So we'll take a look at those as we go. Well, that's a wrap for this session. Thanks for watching. It was lots of fun doing the resizing of the scanning, extracting some text. A couple of major things ahead of me is getting that text into a new document so I can do some formatting to it, add citations. I need to figure out how I'm going to handle pedigree charts and family group records. Maybe AI can help me out there a little bit further as well. So all of that is coming down the road in this project. It's been fun these last 2 bits, and I'm excited to keep going on the Nielsen Nelson Kith and Kin project. Thanks for watching.